This should be played at high volume, preferably in a residential.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Fourth and Frames, the longest running podcast here at Fantasy and Frames and on the Fantasy and Frames Podcast Network. I am your host for today. Words I haven't said in about 3 or 4 years, Jorge Edwards. And with me, I got the regular host for the show, Mr. Rhett Manuel. Rhett, how you doing tonight, man?
Man, I'm sitting here right now. I'm currently tracking Santa on the NORAD Santa app.
Nice.
My man just hit Havana, was last spotted in Havana, Cuba. It's actually be in Nassau, Bahamas in about a minute. So, all my people that are watching up in the Bahamas right now, look up in the sky. Santa's there for you guys. So
love it. And of course, you got Kyle Ziegler. Kyle, how you doing, man?
I am doing great. That's funny you said that, Rhett, because I was driving home from my my grandmother's house where we do Christmas Eve every year. And I looked over at my wife as I was driving. I was like, hey, check on Santa. See where he's at. So she goes, and at the time, which was only, that was only an hour ago. Yeah, about an hour ago. He was in Greenland, and now he's already in Cuba, which is amazing. That's pretty fast, isn't it?
he has to move fast. He's delivered over 5 billion gifts today. So
yeah.
And I saw him at, go ahead.
He does more work than Amazon for sure.
For sure. And I mean, I just saw him at Target also when I was heading home from my mom's house.
Wow.
He's everywhere. Like, he can teleport left and right. It's the thing. He can teleport everywhere, but the reindeer and the sleigh cannot, which is why he always has to go back to them. And yeah.
Santa just made the loop at Nassau. He's heading for Fort Lauderdale in a minute and 3 seconds. So he's coming to the States, baby. Let's go.
Kyle, after this past Monday's show on the Waiver Wire Watch Party, he'll be passing close by where Stacey Perez is. Is she getting cold or present this year? What do you think?
Can you get a little bit of both? Because I feel like Sassy Stacey deserves a little bit of both. Give her a little bit of lump of coal, but you got to treat her nice too, right?
Love it. For everybody who's tuning in tonight, we really appreciate you. We know Christmas Eve, but we also got fantasy football titles to help you clench. And of course, if you're watching over on YouTube, hit that subscribe button and notification bell. That way you're notified when Fantasy and Frames pumps out all of our fantasy football content in season, which is coming to an end. But we got off-season content to talk about. Some would say there is no off-season, because as soon as February 1st hits, we're jumping right into Dynasty prospects. And the next thing you know, we got free agency. And then all of us start coming back. We got a new mock draft show we're going to be doing. Got a whole lot of surprises for you here at Fantasy and Frames. And of course, follow us on all of our social media channels, on Twitter, on TikTok, on Instagram. We love them all. We answer all your questions over there. We appreciate you all checking us out. So thank you very much. I see all these questions popping up in the chat already. We will get to them, I promise. But again, one of the things we like to do here is we also like to talk about all the hard work we put over at fantasyandframes.com, whether it's our rankings, whether it's our articles, all of them for week 17 have been published as of today. So we got our waiver wire, we got our IDP waiver wire, we got our plays and fades by our very own Rhett Manuel, we got our IDP plays and fades, we got our fantasy football trends for week 17, trends that are good, some that aren't so good, that can kind of help you navigate the last week of the fantasy football season. So head over to fantasyandframes.com today. Gentlemen, let's get into a couple questions before we keep this Christmas theme going here. We got one. He dropped it in the chat way before we even started. Frosty126, what's going on? Merry Christmas to all, he says. I need 2 flex options out of Woody Marks, Emmanuel Wilson if Josh Jacobs is out, Kyle Pitts, Dylan Sampson, and Luther Burden if he plays in PPR leagues. Kyle, let's start with you. What are your thoughts here?
I definitely, if Josh Jacobs is out, I really like Emmanuel Wilson. We've seen him in action before, and he's looked really good. And if you take Josh Jacobs out of the equation, man, Emmanuel Wilson get a full load where he's been, running back 2 against Minnesota. He's getting a good bulk load with 14 carries, 82 yards last week, where he averaged 5.9 yards per carry. Emmanuel Wilson, man, if there's no Josh Jacobs, cold in Green Bay too against Baltimore, I do like Emmanuel Wilson. So definitely fire him up if Josh Jacobs is out. And then the other one, I would go Luther Burden as well if some of these other guys are out as well. I like Luther Burden. So it'd be nice to see him come back too.
Aiden, we saw you just jumped in. We'll get to you in 1 second. Rhett, what are your thoughts here? Just looking at because we got the Josh Jacobs injury thing to look out for. Dylan Sampson, is he back from that injury? We don't know what's going on in that situation. And of course, Luther Burden, the injury concerns there. Who would you go as far as the two options here for a flex in the PPR?
I am absolutely floored that Kyle would disrespect
Woody Marks,
the number 2 tight end in fantasy football, and Kyle Pitts. What are you doing with your life, son? I mean, we've seen it over the past month where the target share has just been off the chain. Even last week with Drake London back. Drake London only managed 5.7 fantasy points in full PPR format. So it's hard to ignore what Kyle Pitts has become this season. We made the joke at the beginning of the year about the 5th-year breakout, this, that, and everything else. Well, he's having a really, really good season. So we can't just ignore that at this point, especially with the target share he's been achieving there. But I also agree with you on the Emmanuel Wilson play if Josh Jacobs is out.
One of the things I like about Emmanuel Wilson is even though Baltimore has been in recent weeks kind of tougher when it comes to yards per carry for running backs, they're within the top 10 in terms of yards per target. So there's definitely that, PPR, again, playing to the PPR upside for Emmanuel Wilson as well as his volume. Aiden, what's going on, man? Welcome to the show.
2 minutes
unexpected,
late,
by the way.
Yeah. I made it, though. Thank you.
Christmas miracle if I've ever seen one.
I am the Christmas miracle, yes.
You are. Wow. Christians everywhere are just scoffing left and right at what you just said, but it's okay.
Wow. Yeah. A little bit offended right now, but it's fine.
Well, let's try and redeem yourself here, Aiden. If you had two options here for flexing these players, which two of these players would you flex in a PPR?
I don't expect. I know it says if he plays, but I don't expect Burden to play again. This week specifically, Josh Jacobs, if he's out, I would play Emmanuel Wilson and two. So, Kyle Pitts as well. If Jacobs is in, I'll go Pitts and Sampson because it's going to be gross. But Sampson, assuming he's back, does have the passing game upside. So if Josh Jacobs plays, Pitts and Sampson. If he doesn't play, pretty easily, Pitts and Emmanuel Wilson for me.
Now, I do have a quick question, though. This Emmanuel Wilson we're talking about, if memory serves me correctly, we had a discussion earlier this season, and me, Drew, and Nate seemed to establish that his name is actually Eugene Wilson and not Emmanuel Wilson. So, so Eugene Wilson is a guy I'm certainly firing up this week for sure.
So it's funny you guys mentioned that because Nate calls him Eugene here and on the Sunday pregame show, which will be live this Sunday from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., getting you ready for championship, the rest of championship week. But I like calling him Emmanuel 1M Wilson because I've never met an Emmanuel that just has 1M in their name.
I mess it up a lot.
So there we go. We got Moggs in the chat here saying, welcome, Moggs. I just finished coping from a playoff loss, not expecting Parker Washington to put up 25 points. You and a lot of other people were probably in the same boat there, Moggs, so don't feel too bad. Let's get into some more questions here, shall we? Let's go up here. We got Philip V55, who is one of the best supporters we have here at Fantasy and Frames week in, week out. Welcome to the show. We got a question here. Start two. We got Egbuka, Debo, Franklin, or Burden. So I'm going to start. I'll pick one. For me, it is going to be Troy Franklin. We saw the snap share go down when Pat Bryant was on the field, and Pat Bryant kind of cemented his role for a certain amount of time as the number 2 wide receiver for the Broncos. But whenever Pat Bryant's been out, Troy Franklin's snap usage through the roof. So, with Pat Bryant suffering that concussion, I believe it was a concussion this past versus Jacksonville. If he does not clear the protocol, which by tomorrow, I doubt that that's going to happen. So definitely Troy Franklin for me. Aiden, who would be your player or another player, I should say?
Yeah. I also think it's Troy Franklin. I think the conversation really comes down to Egbuka versus Troy Franklin, but I'm going to go with the one who's the number 2 option with Pat Bryant out on a better offense. Baker Mayfield, the Bucs offense has been on a downslide for the last handful of weeks, so I'm going to go Troy Franklin.
All right, so then who is our second option here, Kyle?
Yeah, Franklin's definitely the clear choice. We're all going to probably agree on that. And really, it comes down, but for me, if Burden doesn't play, then it's going to be like Debo and Ibuka. And you know what concerns me with Debo, or you might be able to tell me a little bit more, but if Josh Johnson's the quarterback,
he is.
See, that's what I was thinking. That's exactly how my sentiments were. I don't know. So I think I would feel more comfortable going with Ibuka, even though, man, he's really dropped off from like the first 10, 11, 12 weeks of the season, where now he's like third in the pecking order at the receiver. But you know what? I said it before, Ibuka has the capability of taking one to the house any given time. So I would go Ibuka as my second choice.
And round us out here. Where are you going with this second option?
Yeah. Same. Troy Franklin and Nick Buka. I mean, I know Mike Evans has come back and he's been a solid player the past couple of weeks. But if you're going pure upside, I mean, Josh Johnson, Luther Burden. I mean, it's the Bears are 11-4 at this point. They've got a big game. And Burden's role has kind of been up and down throughout the year. So I mean, Ibuka is probably none of these are really safe choices per se. But I guess if you're going to shoot for upside, I'd go Franklin and Ibuka.
I agree. Thank you very much, Philip V55, for the question. Next one up here from MRant71. He needs 3 running backs out of the following. Swift listed twice. So, yeah, okay. So, DeAndre Swift, Travis Etienne, or Ramondre Stevenson. Who's the second Swift? That's the one I'm kind of confused about.
Yeah.
Taylor.
Aren't those the 3?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm kind of losing idea of like what's the question.
So those are your 3 though. I'm confused.
Let's just put them in order then. How about that?
Let's do that. After Travis Etienne was able to do what he did against the Broncos last week, I am having a hard time fading him.
He's number 1
in whatever matchup. So Etienne for me.
This is a tough one.
Yeah, because if do you all think like Trayvon's not playing this week like I am just because
he's out? I think.
Yeah, I agree,
dude. And that's what I was gonna say, and I mentioned it in plays and fades. I mean, Trayvon's out. Ramondre Stevenson has a runway to a 70% snap share. He played 62% of snaps last week, even with Trayvon going out in the second quarter. So I mean, 70% as a threshold is not hard for him to get to at that point. We know the fumbling issues, blah, blah, whatever. We're not going to try to bake fumbles into our projections because we know he can catch the ball. We know he's going to have a 70% snap share. We know he's playing the New York freaking Jets. So you really have to take all 3 of those things and kind of just look at it. And as a whole, the ECR has him as a running back 14 or so this week. I mean, that's telling me that the industry also sees him as a fairly safe play this week. So I have to rock with that, just kind of know what's up and just go with Ramondre here.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say just one last point. Right, I agree with the Ramondre thing because I think the Patriots are likely going to be up early in this game against the Jets. It's probably going to be a very run-heavy game script anyway. So, and
he's, in fairness too, Red, he's actually taking care of the football as of late. He hasn't fumbled that I can remember in at least 4 or 5 games, right? When was the last time he fumbled? I mean,
a month ago, I think.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. That's just a little defense for Ramondre that earlier in the season, he kind of was fumbling the football a little bit more, but maybe he's realizing that he can't do that.
You can't do that.
All right. Let's get to the next question. Also from MRant71. He says he needs 3 wide receivers, PPR, Wilson, Nico Collins in a bad matchup. He says Drake London or Chris Olave. So the last 2 for me, Olave and Wilson, Olave and London. You saw the target share last week. Love London. It didn't pay out. It was his first game back, but I still think you can't ignore the targets percentage, even with Kyle Pitts being as proficient as he has been. The real question here is Nico in a bad matchup or Michael Wilson? Rhett, let's start with you.
Nico, I talked about this in Plays and Fades, available now at fantasyandframes.com. Michael Wilson last week when Marvin Harrison Jr. came back went from being a guy who was targeted 8-9 times per game to being targeted 4 times per game, responding with 2 receptions for 53 yards, and his fantasy day was saved by a touchdown reception. We don't like whenever we have to rely on touchdowns at the receiver position. Tight end, whatever, you brush it off, you do what you need to do, you keep it moving. You don't have as many targets at that position. At wide receiver, you need that stable floor to be projectable. Michael Wilson as the wide receiver 19 or so in the ECR this week is something that I'm avoiding. I'm definitely fading that, no doubt.
All right. Let's get to our next question here from Frosty. Which kicker this week? Boswell, Pinero, Mevis? There's only one, I believe, that's playing indoors. And until Al Michaels cursed him on Thursday Night Football is not missing a kick for the Rams all season long, he finally missed a kick. Mevis is going to be in Atlanta, inside the dome. I am avoiding all outdoor weather kickers wherever I can. So Mevis here for me. And I think if we went around the frames, that's unless you guys have a differing opinion. I'm assuming that's where we're on the same page here.
I'll take an indoors kicker in week 17 any given Sunday.
Indoor kickers are where you go. So
like it. All right, let me pull up a few more. We've got some tons of questions coming through here. I think a lot of them we've answered, though. What are your thoughts on ETN? He is RB7 right now, and I was told by many not to draft him. Would you have avoided drafting him and not fall into that trap as last season?
I avoided it, but I probably made a mistake.
Yeah, I made the mistake of not drafting him, but based off of last season and buying a little too heavily into the Bashaw 2 situation. I mean, Bashaw 2 has flashed at times this season, but I mean, Travis Etienne has really shown that he's still one of those guys that when he's on, when the line's there, when the offense is there, when his quarterback is actually playing well, this is my opportunity just for Drew to eat crow on Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. So this is me having the mea culpa on Trevor Lawrence. When everything is right, Travis Etienne is still one of those dudes in this league. So
I want to go back to his, his point where he says, I was told many not to draft him. I'm not really a big proponent of saying don't draft somebody as I am saying don't draft at a certain value. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So if he's falling to the third or fourth rounds of drafts, and I know he is at least technically on paper at that time the RB1 for the team and has shown a track record of being able to produce, at that value, I'm not passing that up because, situations like this season could come on, happen. Yeah. So definitely always be wary of when people are just like, don't draft somebody. It's like, well, not necessarily. That's
values values down the board can always be drafted.
That's right. Let's go here. Another question here from Corey Herman 8553. Do you think Saquon will be a second rounder based off his performance this season? Rhett, I'm going to throw in this to you because I remember when you guys were doing your previews for the NFC East over the summer, one of the things you were talking about was that, Saquon did an amazing thing last year, but let's talk about the truth about Saquon Barkley. Outside of last year, how healthy has he been over the course of his career? The mileage, the attempts last year were through the roof. And we're seeing, the drop-off, obviously, from a year ago. Do you think Saquon is a second rounder next year, though, heading into 2026, or is there a potential for him to drop even farther?
Not so fast on the drop-off. There was a run there where, he was kind of hit or miss, but over the last 3 weeks, and really over the past, I'm actually on the Fantasy Pros website right now. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Matter of fact, in 7 of the last 8 games, and 6 of the last 8 games, Saquon Barkley has been an RB2 or better, and the last 3 weeks he's been an RB1. So it could very well just be one of those situations where the Eagles are kind of just holding him back a little bit, just kind of holding their reins on him. Oh, yeah, and against the Giants in week 8, he was also the RB4 in fantasy that week. So, I mean, what we're looking at is a guy who is not going to go for 2,000 scrimmage yards again this season. But all that said, what you're still looking at the end of the day, you're looking at this profile for Saquon Barkley. Fantasy Pros has it laid out right here. In 15 games, he hasn't missed a game. He has 207 fantasy points. He's currently the RB12. He's over 1,000 yards receiving. His 1,000 yards rushing. I'm sorry, 4.1 yards per carry. That's a little down, but 7 rushing touchdowns, 37 targets, 273 receiving yards. Another 2 receiving touchdowns. So all things considered, he's knocking on 10 total touchdowns for the season. Another 1,300 total yards from scrimmage. I mean, that's a borderline first, second round sort of running back, but I mean, not as bad as I thought it was going to be honest.
Yeah, Rhett, I think it's going to be pretty close because I think we can all agree there's 5 running backs that stick out on top of my head that we all agree on that we would draft over Barkley. And that's Bijan, Gibbs, McCaffrey, Achane, Taylor. Fair?
Is he in the conversation?
Yeah.
And then you can maybe make an argument that James Cook maybe gets drafted before Barkley.
Maybe.
And then of course we got the receivers. Jamar Chase would go before him. Puka Nacua. So it is going to be, I think it's going to be pretty close. If he's not in the second round, definitely back end first round.
All right.
I think
so let me ask
value either way. But.
In the running back conversation, we said we have 5 or 6 that we take before him. So next season, Kyle, Chase Brown or Saquon Barkley?
I think that's about where we're at. I think I would go Barkley over Brown right now.
Saquon or Genty?
Here's the thing. If the Raiders improve that offensive line, I'll go Genty over Barkley, but they got to make some significant improvements to that offensive line.
You are not the Genty guy.
I'm not. But if they make improvements to that offensive line, and I mean some serious gutting out that offensive line, because they're ranked at the bottom. So if they make some changes, kind of like what the Bears did like this year, the Bears improved that offensive line. So if they do something like that, maybe I would go Genty over Barkley.
So basically what we're talking about, Saquon next season being in that RB8 to RB11 range, ETN, Genty, Kyron Williams, Travion Henderson, those sort of guys. So he's in that 3rd or 4th tier of fantasy running back next year.
Yeah.
And I think that's
low end RB1, high end RB2. Yeah.
If you get them there, I think that's great value.
I agree.
Judging it from now, yeah.
Let's go to our next question here from Corey Herman 8553. Taysom Hill or Mike Gesicki?
This is weird.
Yeah, so I know people want to tell me Taysom Hill has the rushing upside and the blah blah blah. I get it, but is that predictable? That was because they didn't have a good quarterback, throwing the ball in. And yes, I said they didn't have a good quarterback, meaning in present tense. Tyler Shuck's been doing his thing, man. So in that regard, you look over the past 3 weeks, the Cardinals are 4th in fantasy points per game allowed. They're near the tops of the league in touchdowns allowed to the tight end position. I think I'm leaning Gesicki in this situation. Am I off my rocker here, Kyle, or does that make sense?
No, I'm with you. I mean, he hasn't Taysom Hill. Yeah, it sounds great, but really, he hasn't really done anything. And Gesicki's proven to do a little bit more. Why this 1 week are we rolling the dice on Taysom Hill all of a sudden in week 17?
Because number one, Tennessee hasn't been overly generous to tight ends, but Juwan Johnson can take up some of that attention. Last week, Taysom Hill, everybody says, oh, well, is this running upside guaranteed? He also had 6 targets and 4 receptions last week, and he was the leading ball carrier out of that backfield with 12 carries. And I know it's a little bit wonky, and we can't count on another passing touchdown next week. But I've said it in plays and fades. He's not a tight end per se. He's kind of always been a package guy in that offense. So they use him where they need him. Trust me, it's not my favorite to talk because the frustrating thing with Taysom Hill is that because he's been such a good player for the franchise, and a lot of our Saints fans don't really know ball like talking about it. Their literal social media conversations are like, is Taysom Hill a Hall of Famer? No, he's absolutely not. Let's cut the nonsense. I literally saw the debate the other day, yesterday, as a matter of fact. It's stupid. Trust me, it's stupid. But he's a package guy. He's going to be on the field in at least probably 50% of snaps. Evan Hall and Audric Estime are both garbage. So at that point, I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibilities for him to be the leading ball carrier again this week. get some targets, maybe snake a touchdown around the goal line. I mean, I see where people are on the Taysom Hill thing because if you have that guy who you want to call a cheat code at this point, that kind of just has a little bit of versatility and can get you points in different ways, I mean, you have to try to roll the dice on that.
In tiebreaker, who are you going with here?
I actually think I'm going to make it to in a tie because I would go Taysom Hill. Both have really good matchups, in my opinion, if you look metrically and stuff. But I am going to go with the higher upside player with Taysom Hill. He can run, he can throw, he can catch. I know it might sound kind of weird, but I think he has more outs for fantasy success. So I will go Taysom Hill.
Wow, Rhett and Kyle on the same page. The universe is about to explode. I'm sorry. Sorry, Kyle, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, but are we just falling victim to a good game by Taysom Hill this past week? Because let's say he didn't get those, 4 catches or whatever, and would we be having this discussion? It's one game that Taysom Hill finished tight end 5, and now all of a sudden we're going to think he's going to do this back-to-back weeks when he hasn't done that all season?
On the flip side,
mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
On the flip side, if we look at the Mike Gesicki game log, I mean, what are we talking about with Mike Gesicki? Like, really and truly.
It's probably the same thing. Yeah, I mean,
dude. Okay, let's run through the Mike Gesicki target run throughout the year. You ready?
Let's go.
3, 4, 3, 1, 5, 0, 6, 2, 6, 2, 4.
Sounds
what?
Like a game.
Sounds like a dude that isn't heavily involved in his offense. Sounds like a dude that is the 4th option on his offense. If you're talking about Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, what's the debate here?
For me, it comes down to who's likely to get more goal line usage and red zone usage, and I think that's absolutely Taysom Hill.
I think Rhett just cut a great promo that will be put up on a reel that'll say somebody who's all about Taysom Hill this week. Love it. All right. Thank you, Corey, for the question. He's got another one, though. Aiden, going to throw it to you.
Yeah.
Well, who is, in your opinion, should be drafted higher in 2026? CMC or I almost said Justin Taylor. Jonathan Taylor. Sorry.
This is a great debate, by the way.
Jeez. McCaffrey's probably going to go 1,000 this year with rushing and receiving. I think he's on the overall.
Sick.
I think he's on the overall better offense projected next year, like clearly in my opinion. But I think Taylor's going to have the pure rushing value. I think because of the dual threat ability, I'm going to go Christian McCaffrey just by a tick, though. It is extremely close.
I think I'm leading McCaffrey well just because of even if the rushing attempt volume goes down, target volume is going to go high.
Yeah.
Right. So there is going to be a shift in the balance there. But again, if you're in a half or a full PPR, like, okay, give me more receiving upside.
Rhett, oh my God. Oh God. If we're going to play the if we played the Mike Gesicki target game, we need to play the Christian McCaffrey target game because my God.
Okay, go for it. What is it?
He's a monster.
10, 7, 15, 11, 9, 8, 8, 6, 6, 10, 6, 6, 7, 4. He had a 1-target game.
Please don't do that.
And an 8-target game. So, I mean, my goodness. Like, how involved do you need to be to question? Like, I'm an age guy.
Clearly.
I always have been. Zebra doesn't change the stripes. I doubted Christian McCaffrey because of injury history and all that stuff. When you have a year like this, I can't. Like, he has to go higher than Jonathan Taylor because the receiving upside, even in just in a half PPR format, is unreal. Even if you're not getting points for your reception and Christian McCaffrey is giving you 7 fantasy points one week or 9 fantasy points another week, or heck, even 5 fantasy points in receiving yards one week. I mean, you can't ignore that sort of level of production on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I want to say out of all running backs, I think Christian McCaffrey leads all backs in routes run. I think I looked at it before. I was trying to pull it up here real quick. But I want to say that Christian McCaffrey is up there, if not the RB1 in routes run out of running backs.
All right, let's get to Galaxy Pickers. What's up? Welcome back to the show. How do you feel about Diggs this week? Also, Texans or Steelers DST followed by Goddard or Taysom Hill. So in reverse order, just because we don't want, Rhett to cut a John Cena like promo and bury us all on the Taysom Hill Goddard debate. Are we all Taysom Hill in this situation here or Dallas Goddard?
Yeah.
Nice. Kyle, you're silent. Are you not?
Oh, man.
Be honest. Like if you have a serious
Are you really thinking about that?
I would go Goddard over Taysom Hill. I mean, he's been scoring touchdowns as of late. Why would I go away from that in a high-powered offense with the Eagles? Goddard's been scoring a lot more than Taysom Hill has. He's been looking at him more in the red zone than he ever has before.
Yeah.
I will concede it's more of a debate than Mike Gesicki.
Oh, yeah.
Probably not. That's probably my line.
No, it's just a bit.
Okay, let's go to our next part of this question. Hold on.
Whoa.
As I live
What the blazes?
I live and breathe. Drew Scott said, "You know what? Screw holiday plans. I'm jumping on the show." What is happening?
What's up, fellas? Yeah, I got back from Christmas with my mom. Everybody was settled. Everything got put up. We hung out for a little bit. Everybody else decided to go to sleep and wait on Santa, so I figured I'd come hang out with you guys.
Don't worry, I came in late too, so you're not alone.
Two Christmas miracles tonight.
What a pleasant surprise, though. I did not expect to see Drew popping up on here.
There we go.
I have nothing for you with Smash or Pass, but I figured I'd come hang out, maybe answer,
we'll take
help
you
out with some
anyway.
start sit questions.
We'll take that. You sit this one out for Smash and Pass and maybe just comment on what we say. Sure.
You came in on Taysom Hill debate, so.
Oh, gross. All right. Well, it's been fun, guys. I appreciate it. Let me hang out tonight. Merry Christmas.
See you later.
But let's keep going with this second part of this question for DST, Steelers, and Texans. So normally I would say Pittsburgh going against Cleveland, but TJ Watt probably out. Nick Herbig, who has always been a solid fill-in, whether it's been Highsmith or TJ Watt, could be out again, dealing with a hamstring injury last week. Jack Sawyer, the rookie, saw his first work. He saw Alex Highsmith saw his first work. So we're going down the pecking order of edge rushers that can get the Shador. I don't like that, but I like that better than the Chargers taking on the Texans. I just, even though the Chargers tackle situation is what it is, and the edge rushers for the Texans also are who they are. I have more faith in that offense getting over and getting some points from the Texans than I do Cleveland getting points against the Steelers. So I'd go Steelers DST. And then Drew, question here for you. Stephon Diggs, where are we at with Stephon Diggs this week? The Patriots, they're probably down Travion Henderson. Does that mean more work in the passing game or more work for Ramondre Stevenson in the running game?
Yeah, I do still think they'll be reliant on the run game plenty. But I've got Diggs just inside my top 24 this week. I think I've got him wide receiver 23. So I don't hate it. Drake May does spread the ball around a ton, but the Jets have been a pretty favorable matchup. I think they've been like the 12th best matchup over the last 5 weeks for receivers based on schedule adjusted fantasy points to the position. So the matchup overall is pretty good. The targets are really weird. The snap shares are really weird on a week-to-week basis, but he's attached to one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and the matchup's pretty solid. So I've still got him as a wide receiver too.
All right, very nice. We got Crypto Life Bags in the chat, and he's like, "Hey, Jorge. Hey, Kyle. Hey, new guys I don't know." But again, dapping up Drew. Hey, Drew Scott.
My man.
Doing,
how does this keep happening?
I don't. We are not hip with it, apparently.
Hope you're doing well, brother.
Quick question. Let's do rapid fire here around the frames. How are you? That's actually a very clever YouTube name. I like that. We'll start with Kyle. Justin Jefferson owner here. This has to be the week, right? Yes or no around the frames?
How are you? I am a Justin Jefferson owner as well. This has to be the week, right? No, I can't say that it is. No, not with Max Brosmer.
Rhett, yes or no?
This is a very simple debate in my mind as I pull up the Justin Jefferson game logs, and it's quite simple. He hasn't been a factor all season, no matter who the quarterback has been. He hasn't been a wide receiver one at any point this season. Why would you roll the dice on championship week when we simply, pardon my French, we don't have jack shit to base that off of this season?
And let's dispel something really quickly. We always hear about like when you sit like star players for upside plays, and they're like, well, if you lose and it's because Justin Jefferson was on your bench, are you going to be kicking yourself? And it's like, no, it's not like
I'm not right now.
It's not like he would have like this like history this season where it's been like, oh, what was I thinking?
Historic performance.
Exactly. Aiden, let's go to you for this next question here. Egbuka or Debo as your second flex option here?
Oh, I don't love either of these options, but forget Debo. Like Josh Johnson, I didn't even realize he was still in the league till a few days ago. So clearly I'm going to Emeka Egbuka, even though he is the third option in that passing attack. That's been a bit of a downside lately, but I will still go with Egbuka for the explosive play ability and upside.
All right. Let's get caught up here with the questions from Midwest Hunt. All right, this is for the championship. Need to set these spots. RB2, Tracy, Warren, or Gainwell.
Oof.
I love
Steelers
Gainwell.
RBs.
Yeah.
I love Gainwell over Warren. Both Warren and Gainwell obviously had monster games last week, but you see the target share percentage go in Gainwell's direction. So this is a PPR. I'm all on board Gainwell. Drew, who would you pick out of these three running backs? Tyrone Tracy, Jalen Warren, or Kenneth Gainwell?
I've got Warren and Gainwell literally back to back. I've got Warren 17, Gainwell 18, and then Tracy at 21. So they're all really jumbled up there together. I'm trying to look and see. I know Cleveland been a pretty vulnerable run defense over the last 5 weeks. They've been the third best matchup. A defense we were scared of to start the year. The run defense isn't near as scary, and so I still want to lean Warren over Gainwell, but it's really close. It's tough.
It's hard to ignore what Gainwell's been doing in the receiving game with Aaron Rodgers, man. It's really hard to ignore that.
That's the difference for me in the debate, because I mean both of them, like, it's a hot hand offense. Like who gets the carries depending on who's the better hand that week. But the constant has been Kenny Gainwell in the passing game. So, I mean, it gives me a little bit of an edge on Gainwell. It's why I faded Jalen Warren in my Plays and Faith article this week. I mean, because, he's been consistent. He's been good. I hate predicting that backfield right now, though.
Yeah, the only thing that gives me pause is I'd have to go back. I don't have the numbers, full disclosure, but the running backs have been killing Cleveland. I don't really think they've been doing it in the receiving game, if memory serves me correct. Like last week with Buffalo, James Cook, most of his stuff was just on the ground, right? Like it was just he was just being really efficient with his carries. The week before that, it was DeAndre Swift that got a lot of work done on the ground on the carries. Monunga didn't get much that week, but and then the week before that was the first big Tony Pollard week, where I think it was mostly just on the ground game. Like most of these guys, running backs are just gashing these guys for carries, and so I would lean. I think that would just make me want to lean more toward the side of the guy that's getting more carries and the guys getting more work in the receiving game.
I was going to say that, Drew. Yeah, Tony Pollard had 25 carries for $161 and 2 scores against Cleveland, all on the ground.
Yeah. Tony Pollard.
Yeah,
Tony Pollard.
I would want to bet on the running back that's going to get the carries in this.
So give Warren the nod here in this situation.
That's that's what my rankings.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Tight end Parkinson or Strange. For me, it's Brenton Strange. I'm all aboard Team Jaguars rest of season. Anybody?
Yeah.
I know it hurt a lot of managers last week. Colby Parkinson. Drew's like, I ain't gonna talk about it. I hear you. A lot of us were in it. 2 flex spots: McConkey, Pearsall, Parker Washington, Hollins. For me, it's McConkey and Parker Washington. Rhett, who are you rolling with in these 2 flex options here?
We have McConkey, Pearsall, Parker Washington, Mac Hollins left over. I love the Mac Hollins upside there over the past. I think it was 8 weeks in doing Plays and Page research. He's had 52 targets. Over the last 2 weeks, that's gone up to 8.5 targets per game. He's being used in that offense. He's found himself a surprisingly consistent role in that offense, despite how crowded it is. I think Hollins is one guy that I like there, and then the other one, I like what Juwan Jennings is doing right now in that offense. So it's hard for me to lean on Pearsall. I guess we go McConkey, but I mean, I don't feel good about Parker Washington rebounding and having another 25-point week. So I think my answers are McConkey and Hollins.
Kyle?
I'm glad you said that, Rhett, because I'm the same. I'm with Rhett on this one, and I was hoping to get some, I guess, agreements too on Matt Collins, because I actually picked him up in a league where I'm actually thinking about starting him over Justin Jefferson or Jordan Addison. I got both of them, and it's such a shitty situation for me. But I actually think I'm gonna go Matt Collins because of what Rhett said. I was looking at the same thing, man. He's been getting targeted like crazy from Drake May. So I do like Matt Collins against the Jets this week, and McConkey as well.
Would you guys play Matt Collins over Tyrone Tracy or Kenneth Gainwell though in the flex?
Probably not.
No, I can't go that far. No.
Say I would get if you don't want to play both Steelers running backs, but I would probably play Tracy before I would play mine would probably be McConkey and Tracy.
That's very good. That's a very good point. Okay. I will say Indianapolis, they don't give up a lot of receptions. They don't give a lot of touchdowns. So they're, yay, Parker Washington. What they do give up though is yardage. So again, if this was
really tough in the slot too, Kenny Moore, since he's come back and he's healthy, he's one of the better slot corners in the league. So that's been a problem since he came back.
True. That being the case, the yardage point is where I'm just like, okay, well, if I'm in a non PPR, which if you are, love you, you want the touchdowns, you want the yardage. So, yeah. But anywho, so Midwest Hunt, thank you very much for your question. No, Drew, you may get daps from Crypto Life Bags, okay? I get sexy Jorge comments from Jay, okay? So
I would take that.
That's better.
So, and Jamie, I can tell by the chat already, he is probably drunk in the strip club. Good for you. He frequents the club. What can we say? He likes the buffet there.
That's okay.
You think I'm joking? I'm not joking. Jamie also asked the all-important starter sit question: the Grinch or Bad Santa? I'm rolling Bad Santa. That movie was hilarious.
I've never seen it. Surprise, but
it's pretty good. It's worth the watch.
Kyle,
wait, what version of the Grinch? The live action one or the original cartoon thing?
I mean,
old man in me says OG cartoon, but
yeah.
You know what, guys? I'm going to go ahead and say this far. I'm going to take this strictly on a who would you want on your team perspective. Okay. Bad Santa, he gets a little drunk, he does little loopy things. We're not good with that. The Grinch, bad locker room guy at first, ultimately becomes the consummate team guy. So you got to go the Grinch in this situation.
That's one hell of a breakdown.
Thank you. The Grinch.
All right, now that we're caught up with some questions, let's quickly, before we get into our smash plays, let's do our weekly check-in here on Fourth and Frames to tell you all how we're doing as far as hit rate this season. Nate last week was 2 for 3, 49% on the season. Kyle, 1 for 3 last week, also tied at 49% on the season. Drew, 2 for 3 last week, 60% on the season. Rhett
That's good.
That is very good. Rhett missed last week, but he's sitting at 77% on the season.
That's even better.
Numbers don't lie. Yeah, I got you. And then of course I was on last week, who went 2 for 3 for 57 on my 2 appearances. So I'm not going to count that as like a real thing. Drew, however, you have been crushing. Just kudos to you, man, and everybody else here who just puts in a lot of hard work getting you ready each and every week. And with that, just a couple reminders. Tomorrow's games, Christmas Day, Dallas at Washington, 1 p.m. So make sure you got your lineup set there. Lions at Vikings at 4:30, Broncos at Chiefs at 8:15. And then on Saturday, Texans at Chargers at 4:30, Ravens at Packers, the night game at 8 p.m. All right, let's get into some smash and pass plays. And so as they do every single week here on Fourth and Frames, we look at Fantasy Pros ECR rankings. So, of course, we're looking at the ECR rankings for Week 17. And our criteria are quarterbacks outside the top 12, running backs outside the top 15, wide receivers outside the top 20, and tight ends outside of the top 10. And we're talking about, of course, in half PPR. So, Aiden, why don't you get us started with your smash play smash play of the week?
Thanks. I'm going with Michael Carter of the Arizona Cardinals, currently sitting at this moment at the ECR RB26 in the rankings versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Everyone says the Cincinnati Bengals defense is atrocious, whether it's versus run, pass, wide receiver, tight end, running back, especially versus running backs, because over the last 4 weeks, the Bengals have given up the 6th most rushing yards to the RB position in the NFL, and on top of that, allowed the 7th most fantasy points per game to the position over that span as well. So you could absolutely run at them, and Michael Carter has all the makings, if you will, of everything we want to see in a smash play here. He's got he's got volume. Could Amari DiMercato mix in some third downs here and there for some receiving work? Sure. But Michael Carter, for the vast majority part, he had volume, check. He's going to have goal line work, check. So I really like this matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals with all the metrics I just presented.
Yeah, Aiden, I hope that works out better for you than it did for me last week. This seems to happen to me where I pick a guy just a week too early because Drew did it to me like a week or two later on another guy. Looks like you're going to do it with me on Michael Carter because it is a way better matchup for Michael Carter this week against Cincinnati than it was Atlanta, even though Atlanta wasn't a bad matchup to say either. But, Cincinnati's the number one in fantasy points allowed to the running back position, Aiden. So he had 11 carries last week for 65 yards. I think if he would have, gotten 15 or so more yards, maybe a couple more catches in there, maybe I would have hit that last week. So I'm a little bit disappointed in Michael Carter, but I think this is a good week for you, Aiden, on Michael Carter. So yeah, I think, it's going to happen to me again where I was just a week too soon on a player.
Well, not to mention, Michael Carter last week had 30 snaps to DiMercato's 18. Effing Corey Kiner, who they actually devoted like a segment of this broadcast. So, let's talk about Corey Kiner for a second. I'm just like, no, let's not talk about Corey Kiner for a second. No need. Let's talk about why Michael Carter is not on the field and Corey Kiner is. I'm sorry, right? What were you going to say?
Oh, no, I was going to give a quick rebuttal. Not necessarily about the fact that the Bengals are terrible against the run, because they are. What I am going to say is that if you are in a spot, and this kind of a little bonus take, where you need some upside for your DST spots, the Bengals, strangely enough, over the past 5 weeks, have generated 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 9, 10 turnovers and a defensive touchdown over the past 5 weeks. So while they are not by any means being stingy on the yardage, over the past 5 weeks, and they're the ECR defense 18 this week. Over the past 5 weeks, they've been the DST 10, 5, 15, 7, and 11 over the past 5 weeks. So they are generating turnovers. So they are a sneaky play if you need some upside on that end in your championship week. Just putting that out there for people.
That's a good call.
Just want to give a shout out again to Philip. Philip B55. You have been so generous to us here at Fantasy and Frames on all of our shows. We really do appreciate you. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you as well. Really appreciate you there. Kyle, let's get to your smash play.
Yeah, I like Chris Rodriguez this week at ECR running back 31. Looking at the last 5 weeks, Rodriguez has been getting sufficient amount of snap shares and a decent amount of snaps. Since week 11, he's gotten double-digit carries, 15, 11, 10, and 15. So he's getting the volume there for the Washington Commanders. That's an average of 13 carries per game. And don't get me wrong, I know that it's a full committee there. I fully admit that. But Rodriguez does have a 63.9% success rate, 3 yards after contact per attempt. And he leads the committee in missed tackles forced, actually, with 9. So that's just under, 2 a game. You might think Jorge said this on Monday that, he looked at it. He thought, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt would actually lead that. But no, it's Chris Rodriguez with more missed tackles forced in the last 5 games. And he's also leading the way in rushing yards per game as well with 52. He's not a bad start if you're in a jam this week. You know, they get the Cowboys this week, who give up the 13th most rushing yards per game, allowing 122.3 yards on the ground. The Cowboys also allow the 7th most fantasy points to the running back position at almost 22 half PPR points per game. So I do see Chris Rodriguez here possibly hitting some double digits points this week. He gets the volume, gets the opportunity. I like Chris Rodriguez here, ECR running back 31.
So let me ask you a question, Kyle. If you had to pick Rodriguez and his rushing upside versus Dallas, or Debo with the receiving and potential manufactured touches out of the backfield versus Dallas, who would you roll with?
I'm still going to roll with Chris Rodriguez.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Rhett, who you got for your smash play?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Hunter Henry against the New York Jets this week. We kind of mentioned off the top of the jump, but kind of that the New York Jets are kind of a generous matchup for most people right now. But when we're looking at what they do, they're kind of tending to defensively funnel targets to the tight end position. And Hunter Henry, I don't know if you guys have been noticing this over the past 5-6 weeks. He's been a 5 to 10 target guy pretty much all those times. At the tight end position, that is a spot where you really are looking at a big time output. You know, he's a guy who's 10th at the position, 5.3 per game, 79 for the season. He's top 10 in there. He's played 241 slot snaps for the Patriots this year. Says a 32% slot rate. His ADOT is 7th at the position, 8.4. He's 3rd in deep targets. He's sitting here. He's 3rd in air yards at the tight end position as well, with 664. Of course, all these numbers courtesy of Player Profiler. But the thing that kind of puts him over the top, and being a guy in a touchdown-dependent position like tight end, his red zone target share, according to Player Profiler, is 35.2%. That's number 2 at the tight end position. It's a guy who has ended up with 11.5 touchdown rate for the season, 6 total touchdowns, and just a guy who, whenever we are looking at efficiency, usage, all these different things, Hunter Henry is a guy that has just been pretty consistent, pretty rock solid, pretty underrated throughout the year. Heading in, when I did this yesterday, it's a little bit of a cheat right now because we said outside the top 10. He was tied in 12 yesterday. In the ECRs today, he's tied in 10, so it's technically doesn't fit the parameters as of now. But hey, I've done worse before. Whenever I played Raheem Mostert a couple seasons back, when somebody got hurt and he started at like running back 40, and then they bumped him up to like running back 5, and I still played it. So I've committed worse sins before. Don't come for me.
Nice.
He's tied in 7 for me right now, so I'm with you. I'm ahead of ECR with Hunter Henry this week as well.
All right, let's go to now our pass plays. So we're going to be talking about players, quarterbacks specifically, inside the top 15, running backs inside the top 20, inside the top 35 at wide receivers, and inside the top 12. Rhett, let's go in reverse order here. Who is your pass play for week 17?
God, Drew's going to kill me right here because we had this whole conversation a while ago. Kenny Gainwell or Jaylen Warren. I'm looking at Jaylen Warren this week, and like I said, I mean, God, I don't like predicting what this offense is going to do. And Drew made a very solid case about the Cleveland Browns very much being, what's the word we can put there? Vulnerable at the running back position. But man, I just look at this and I'm looking at a guy with Jaylen Warren who, man, that snap share, he's played 53% of snaps all season. Gainwell probably takes up most of that other 47. He's 26 in opportunity share. Still though, man, it's hard to look at this guy and just kind of, it's such a tough call because with Jaylen Warren, there's a usage squeeze. He's kind of been the main running back. Gainwell's been the main receiver, yet Jaylen Warren has a pretty decent reception share as well. The bottom line is I need to sit him for my own peace of mind because I don't know which of these guys is going to get the share, because in the worst case scenario, Jalen Warren ends up with single-digit carries and a capped receiving upside, and in a championship week like this, we are potentially seeing a guy who may not even be used as much as he could be on the hot hand. That's the thing that scares me with Jalen Warren this week, is the fact that we don't know where those touches are going to go. We know Aaron Rodgers likes having Kenny Gainwell on the field. All these things kind of look at me and I go, okay, but it's a championship week. Yeah, you play the guys that got you there. But if you can take this guy, this Jalen Warren, and maybe find somebody else and put him into a flex spot instead of having to be one of your 2-3 main guys, I probably feel better about that. But in terms of being a running back that I'm going to start this week, he might be more of a flex guy simply because the way that backfield has been used kind of just scares the crap out of me lately.
I will, to Drew's point earlier, as far as the Browns being more susceptible in terms of rushing yardage and rushing attempts and whatnot. Let's not just dismiss narrative also in this regard. Like, Myles Garrett has an opportunity to set the single season sack record versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, their vaunted rival here in the NFC North. And the Pittsburgh offensive tackles haven't been consistent all season long. So one would think that he would like to get the ball out quickly to a receiving option, being Kenneth Gainwell in that case out of the backfield. So I could see an argument to be made with that as far as the pass play. Kyle, who's your pass play for this week?
Yeah, before I get started, I got to ask Drew a question. Drew, have you seen the show sheet? Do you know where I'm going with this? Oh, you don't?
Nope, no idea.
Okay, well then you might actually your mouth might actually hit the floor here. My pass plays ECR running back 8 is Jonathan Taylor from the Indianapolis Colts, and I say that because I was high on this guy. This was like my guy, Drew.
It was, yeah.
And here I am, not wanting to start him in the championship game, Jonathan Taylor. Am I saying not start him? No. If I said some dumb shit like bench Jonathan Taylor, I would hope you would mute my mic, but we're not going there.
I'm not listening to this guy anymore.
Exactly. We're just going to temper expectations here in the championship game. Certainly, let's not expect what he did last year either in week 17 when he finished RB1. I know you guys remember that.
Yeah.
But Taylor has definitely cooled off from his hot start earlier in this season, where he had 5 100+ yard games in the first 10 weeks of the season. And since then, he hasn't had one. The Jags run defense has been elite as well. Best in the league, in fact, allowing 87.3 yards on the ground per game. They also allow the second fewest fantasy points to the running back position. The Jaguars have been allowing the 6th lowest scheduled adjusted fantasy points allowed per game to running backs over the last 5 weeks. I just don't like Jonathan Taylor in this spot. Again, we're playing Jonathan Taylor this week. We're all going to play him because we can't bench him because maybe he splashes in for 6 for you. But we're going to expect RB2 numbers because that's what he's been doing since week 12 is putting up RB2 numbers. So don't expect RB1 outlet here in week 17.
I'm so glad you said that. Oh my God, I'm so glad you said that because I said it in plays of fades.
Oh, okay.
And I was sitting here and I was like, oh man, this is risky. But Kyle, I've kind of grown to trust your opinion more and more in the year has gone on. And you're right. Taylor's an explosive guy. Jacksonville does a good job of limiting those explosive plays in the run game. They like loading the box. They like getting the quarterback to beat them. I know Phillip Rivers is a fun story right now, but asking him to come and beat one of the hottest teams in football in Jacksonville right now on his own is a bit of a tall ask. I do think Jonathan Taylor is going to see a lot of volume this week. So I think his floor is going to be probably in that 8 to 10 point range, which as a floor isn't terrible. But in terms of upside, he could be a high volume guy and still have a pretty low production premium this week. And you still look like a genius. So I'm so glad you said that because I said it in plays and fades. I was kind of like, oh, am I sitting on an island here? And apparently I'm not. So
I'm with you. I'm with you on that island. Me and you are still on that JJ McCarthy island as well. So we're seeing eye to eye here.
That backfired.
Well, folks, if you've heard Rhett mention it a few times throughout the show, plays and fades. So that's our, other places like to call them starts and sits. We like to call them plays and fades because there are some situations where you can't sit some of these players, but what you can do is alter your expectations. So head over to fantasyandframes.com and check out Rhett Manuel's plays and fades for week 17. Aiden, finish us off here with our pass plays. Who is your pass for week 17?
Yeah, sitting at RB 17 in ECR right now, I have O'Marion Hampton of the Los Angeles Chargers going up against the Houston Texans this week. We know how elite this Texans offense has been all season, whether it's going to be the pass rush against these kind of depleted tackles in the Chargers, this pass defense against these Chargers weapons. But mainly what I'm looking at is this run defense has been beyond elite this season for the Houston Texans. And sure, Hampton's going to have the volume. There's no threat of Kamani Vidal taking some third down passing work necessarily because he's likely going to be out with the neck sprain he suffered. I'd be shocked if he played. So could he get a lot of volume and quote unquote volume his way to success? Sure. But in my opinion, just volume doesn't prop you up. Just because you have a lot of volume doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have satisfying numbers with that volume. So I don't like the matchup here. I don't like how this Chargers offensive line match up against anybody, especially the Texans' elite defensive line. So I don't know. I'm just getting some weird vibes from this game. And I think it's going to be lower scoring than people expect with these two teams.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for our smash and pass plays. We got one segment left here to go. Let's get into some pop or flop.
I totally forgot about that.
And you know what we mean by pop or flop. So we're talking about upside the top 100 Fantasy Pros Week 17 flex rankings. Aiden, let's start with you. Going back in reverse, who is your pop or flop play this week?
Well, this is fun because full circle moment. I have Taysom Hill going up against going up against the Tennessee Titans. Let me just give you some numbers here with the Titans defense. Over the last 4 weeks, the Titans have given up the 8th most receiving yards to the tight end position, and over that span as well have allowed the 5th most fantasy points per game to the tight end position specifically as well. I said it before and I'll say it again. It sounds weird to say, but he can run, pass, throw. In my opinion, he has a lot of outs in a decent fantasy success day, if you will. So, and Tyler Shuck has really impressed me over the last few weeks, more than I thought he would. So I'm going Taysom Hill. I know, like we were making fun of it, but that truly is my answer here.
Really come full circle on today's show with Taysom Hill. I gotta be honest with you.
Was not expecting it, but
not the player I was expecting us to.
Too much spotlight.
Yeah, Rhett, who's your pop play this week?
Dude, I look at this Cleveland Browns backfield last week, and Quinshon Judkins goes down, gruesome injury, season likely done. And I'm looking at who took over that backfield last week as a primary ball carrier. Raheem Sanders, you might better know him as Rocket, had 11 carries for 42 yards last week. And earlier in the season was kind of using a little bit of a pre-Judkins returning, using a little bit of a goal line role for the Cleveland Browns. This week he is the ECR running back 40, and he is outside of the flex situation. I think he is the flex 105 overall. And what we're seeing is he's playing a Pittsburgh defense that while it has been good, they do tend to play a little bit aggressively. And as you mentioned earlier, they might have a couple of key guys missing this week. So it does make them a little more vulnerable. Sanders is a guy who, even though there's a very limited sample size, I mean, there's some upside there in terms of big plays. And the thing that probably makes him most intriguing for me is the fact that, number one, this passing game outside of Harold Fannin hasn't looked super impressive. But number two, if they get near that goal line, they're going to need a goal line guy. And Rocket Sanders is going to fit that role. He's going to be the goal line guy because it won't be Dylan Sampson. Jerome Ford is just coming off of IR for 4 weeks, different things like that. What I'm advocating for is this. In essence, Championship Sunday in fantasy football. is a 1 week tournament.
Yeah.
It's win or go home. You either take the win or you don't. If you have a flex spot open and you need some upside in there, you're not turning back anyway. You can't look at next week. Why not take a guy who can possibly snake you a touchdown, get you 6 points, will be the leading ball carrier in that backfield in all likelihood this week, and give you a little bit of extra upside and a little bit of variance that other people might not have. I think Rocket Sanders is very much a pop or flop guy this week because it can go really well. He end up around 60 rushing yards and a touchdown, or God, you can end up with egg on your face. What I'm saying is this: if you have Rocket Sanders, you better have a Puka Nacua to back him up because things can go really wrong really quickly. But that's kind of risky playing this pop or flop on Championship Sunday.
What if Sampson's back? You're still going with Sanders as the lead back?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think he threatens the pass role, but I don't think that Dylan Sampson is necessarily a guy that is going to be that goal line guy once again. So if he has 11 carries, 40 yards like he did last week, and there's a rushing touchdown, you're 10, 11 points out of a flex spot right there. At the running back 40, he ends up probably at that point, running back 27, 28 for the week, something like that. I mean, you'll take that from a guy that's so low down the totem pole to begin with.
Definitely.
All right, Kyle, who is your pop play for the week?
Jorge, I really liked this play a lot more yesterday when we were supposed to do the show because Woody Marks is my pop or flop. And at the time yesterday, this dude was running back 48, flexed out at 160 overall. I was loving this call yesterday. And 30 hours later, as I expected, he's back to practice. So his ranking went straight up through the roof like Rocket Sanders, and I had a freebie yesterday, but he's still around that area. Rhett, you talked about going outside of the rankings a little bit. You know what? It's Christmas. It's our Christmas gift to us that we're allowed to flirt a little bit inside the numbers here. Because right now, I was looking at the rankings now, and Woody Marks is at 90, running back 35. But we're going to roll with Woody Marks because, this is what I was supposed to do. So we're going Woody Marks. The Texans are still fighting for positioning in that AFC playoff race. They are currently a 7 seed as a team with 2 games left, and they can improve positioning with the win and, get some help from other teams, of course. And I know Jawar Jordan is there. He's looked great, the last 2 games. But it's important to note that Jordan has faced 2 top 10 easiest opponents in fantasy points allowed to running backs in Arizona and Las Vegas. And this game, I feel like the Texans are going to want to lean on their run game in this one. Woody Marks is their guy. I don't think he's going to lose the job due to an ankle injury. I think he's going to keep that lead role with the Texans. And yes, the Chargers propose a tough matchup for sure. But Woody Marks has been battle tested in the past. He finished RB10 against Jacksonville back in week 10. And he was also running back 14 against Kansas City, ironically, in week 14. Don't second guess this one. Fire up Woody Marks. I like him as an RB2 or flex. Rhett mentioned it earlier. It's a pop or flop perfect scenario for Woody Marks because even if he's healthy, we don't know how much Jawar Jordan is going to be involved in this offense. But I'm going to lean on what Woody Marks has done all season. And if he plays, I think he can be an RB2 for you this week.
I love it. Rhett, speaking of Rhett, let's go to Rhett. What do you got to say, Rhett?
Well, look, man, I just want to let you guys know that, we tracked the Santa tracker a little bit earlier, beginning of the show. Just got a call from the big man that he needs a little bit of help on my side. Might not be able to get to all the house he needs to tonight. Apparently, the elves were a little bit, they're tripping. They're not doing everything they need to do. The toys may not be there on time. So he needs me to pitch hit at least my house and take care of my daughter. But what I wanted to say to you guys was, first off, Merry Christmas to all of you. Merry Christmas to all of our viewers, our listeners, whoever it is. Love you guys. And be sure to check out fantasyandframes.com. Like we said, plays and fades have dropped. Also, get the pregame show on Sunday. All these different people, all these very talented people who are also amazing humans to begin with are just doing all this incredible stuff over at the website. So glad to be a part of the team. Want you guys to have a Merry Christmas. And take care of yourself, boys.
Later,
Merry
Rat.
Christmas.
Merry
Merry
Christmas,
Christmas.
Bye.
Merry Christmas, guys.
See you on the other side, brother.
Before we get out of here tonight,
Other
let me take care of this. So before we get out of here tonight, I do want to plug something. Championship week. We all like trophies. We all like title belts. I like plaques, to be honest with you. And I met this company back at the Fantasy Football Expo 2 years ago, I believe. Dynasty Decks and thedynastydex.com. Love their product so much. I actually have one of them right here, and it's like literally straight up like acrylic. It's like thick like this. You can, it'll survive like an atomic blast. It's actually pretty cool. And what's really awesome, me being an IDP junkie, we have deep rosters, offensive players, IDPs, and these players can go 20 names long, and you're like, you can't fit that many names like on a trophy or a belt, right?
Right.
They will customize your plaque however the hell you want it. You just talk to the customer service on Twitter or email them. They'll make it happen. They'll fit every single name on here. It is really an awesome product. Use the promo code FRAMES. You get $10 off. So you're talking about like a $40 plaque that you probably on other websites would be paying $100 for. Super awesome company. I love promoting smaller brands and getting their content and products out there when, and it's not just one of those like ad sales where you're just like, yeah, go get this. No, I have it like right freaking here. Like this is pretty awesome stuff. So Dynasty Decks, thedynastydex.com. Use the promo code FRAMES and get $10 off your purchase. You got two more. Yeah, go for it, Kyle. Excuse me, Aiden.
I also got to run. I apologize, but thank you all for having me on, even if it was a few minutes late. I appreciate it, and have a good holiday.
You too, Aiden.
You too, Aiden.
Bye.
All right, we got two more questions before we get out of here, and figures that we have two more analysts ready at the wayside. Let's start with Drew, if you don't mind. Here, I'm going to throw a question here at you, a quarterback question. Levi Stevens 9096 is asking, Bo Nix, Baker Mayfield, or Jackson Dart, which to start this week?
Man, that's tough. Let's see. Let me see here.
Yeah,
Bo Nix has Kansas City. Man, Cam Ward didn't look terrible against Kansas City. I know they don't have as much to play for now, so it's not as scary as a matchup as it was the entire year. And Baker has Miami, and then Dart has Vegas. I think I lean Bo Nix.
Yeah. With the Chiefs shutting down a number of their players today. And like you said, if Cam Ward could have a success against this Chiefs team, so
I literally have these guys. It's crazy he asked this question. I have these guys quarterback 13, 14, 15.
Yeah, no.
but Bo Nix is the one in front, though. So that's the way that I'd lean. But I wanted to double check the matchups and everything before I answer because of how close they were.
Roger. Thank you very much. All right. Kyle, why don't you take this one? Start two wide receivers, Sutton, Higgins, Olave, Myers.
Definitely Chris Olave, as much as it stings to say, the Tennessee Titans come, yeah, you got to go Olave against that defense. And then, you mentioned it, you're going to go Bo Nix. I'm going to go Cortland Sutton in this one as well, with Pat Bryant, banged up a little bit. Well, hope a little bit more than a little bit. Hope he's all right, of course. But yeah, with Pat Bryant definitely out of this one, it's more funnel targets to Cortland Sutton. So I'm going to go Sutton and Olave.
All right, so then Myers and Higgins on the table, he says out of the two you don't pick, so Myers and Higgins, would you start one of them in the flex or Aaron Jones? Aaron Jones, Aaron Jones, Higgins, or Jacoby Myers?
I'm reluctantly gonna go Aaron Jones over those guys in the flex. It's probably gonna be hard for the Minnesota Vikings to move the ball, but there's no Jordan Mason. He should get more of a load there. I'm gonna go with the volume and chase Aaron Jones in this one, even though I don't like it because they might have a hard time moving the football. But
I'd go Higgins if it was me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that, Drew?
I'd go Higgins personally if I had to pick between the two.
Well, I'm going to be the tiebreaker and say
we need that.
I'm going to go. Yeah. Well, no, I'm going to make it even more difficult. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be the tiebreaker. I'm going to say Jacoby Myers. So, gotcha. Sorry, Smitty. Got Crystal Lifeback saying, Merry Christmas. Hope you all your families have wonderful holidays. Likewise to you and everybody else in the chat. Before we get out of here, though, I figure let's go a little bit off script, and if you guys don't mind, I know I didn't prep you all for this before the show, but like, what's a cool tradition you have like around the Christmas time of year that that you just enjoy doing, like on Christmas Day? Like, I'll give you a great example. So, like, when I was younger, my parents wanted to do something a little bit different for Christmas, and so they turned it into a scavenger hunt, actually. So they actually had the Christmas presents like set up like a couple around the tree, but then it was like a Christmas scavenger hunt where they gave me like a Christmas map and whatnot, and I have to, like, based off of the clues they're giving me, go hunting for these Christmas presents. So it was always like a fun like game of like how to make opening presents even more fun. So that was a cool little tradition I hope to have with my son when he gets older. Kyle, what about you, man?
That's funny you say that, Jorge, because I do something similar. Not exactly the same, but like when I was a kid, and I'm going to bring that to my kids now because they're getting a little bit older. They're 5 and 3, so the 5-year-old's definitely starting to get Christmas a little bit more. When I was a kid, my mom always gave me like the one big present, the one that I was looking forward to, at the very end, and she wouldn't tell me until at the end, and she would say, go get it. It wasn't really a scavenger hunt, but there was always one big present that I didn't know about that she would tell me to go get it in this room or whatever.
Right.
And I'm going to start incorporating that probably starting tomorrow with the 5 and 3-year-old. I'm going to we got him a vanity set for like makeup and shit like that. That we're just probably, we put it together last night. So I'm probably going to do that starting tomorrow, start a new tradition with them like I did when I was a kid. So we'll put it in some random room and tell them to go see it at the end.
Jason, we see your comment. We will get to it in 1 second after Drew gives us one little tradition that he enjoys during the holiday season here on Christmas.
Yeah, so mine's going to sound kind of boring now, but it's honestly perfect for how we are as a family. But our only tradition we have for Christmas morning or Christmas Day is that our family knows ever since we had kids that Christmas morning and most of like Christmas afternoon is off limits. Like, don't ask us to come run here, go there, do this. Like, Christmas morning, we wake up together. Me and my wife grab our coffee. We let the kids do their thing, open their presents. We let them, open up the toys, have time to play, hang out, relax. Like, we're not going to force you guys to remember Christmas as the holiday where we're having to get pulled here and there and everywhere. And so we do a lot of running leading up to it. The Christmas Eve, like we've been running today, the previous weekend, but we do all these things because our family knows Christmas morning that we're not getting them out of the house, and so we try to let the kids have their time, that morning and afternoon to just kind of do their thing. And selfishly, it's nice for us too to get to just sit back and watch them enjoy Christmas and not have to worry about the hustle and bustle right off the bat.
Drew, I got to ask you real quick before Jorge expand. I have to ask you: is there a time limit though for these kids when they come get you up? Because me and my wife were talking like, are they going to come in at like 4:30 in the morning and expect to like do Christmas? So is there a time limit for the kids when they come wake you up to do the Christmas morning thing?
I'd say as long as it's past like 6, they're pretty much in the clear.
Okay. That's what we're kind of discussing it now. Like if it's 4:30, we're going to tell them not yet.
Go get back in bed for a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, but like I figure around 6 a.m., that's only around like 30 minutes earlier than they usually would be getting up for school and stuff anyway. If they wake up around that time and they're just excited and they're ready to go, I remember that time as a kid waking up first thing Christmas morning, ready to go. So as long as it's a reasonable time, we've told them. My son tried to ask us. He said, "Can I set an alarm?" I said, "No, that's not allowed. If you wake up on your own organically, that's fine. Come get us. You don't get to set no alarm." But they know they have the green light anytime, after like 6-ish. If they wake up, just come wake us up and we can do it.
My mom always told me if it was like really dark out, I was allowed.
Good rule.
I was always allowed though, if I was up and it was dark, I was always allowed to go open up the stocking stuffers, but that was it. I was only allowed to open up that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, so that was, I don't know, maybe we could try something like that. I'll see if that works.
I love it. Well, we talk about alarms and waking up, and let's answer some of these alarm questions we got here.
Yeah, let's do it.
For Jason and Jonathan, who both say Merry Christmas back to you.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Jason Ortiz 3140 over on YouTube. Basically, he's saying bench one of the following players. This is probably the easier way to go about it. Marion Hampton, Rico Daddle, Tony Pollard, Wandale, Shakir, Tet McMillan. If you had to bench one of these guys, all right, and this is a good problem to have. You know,
Yeah.
if you had to bench one of these guys, who would you bench in this situation here? Man, this is a
Who does
tough.
Buffalo play this week?
They are taking on the Eagles. They're taking on the Eagles.
Okay, I think I would bench Shakir.
Shakir because of the Cooper DeJean.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm going to avoid
pain in the
him
ass.
like the plague.
Yeah, I think it would be between him and Rico for me.
Okay, let's go to our next question here from Jonathan. He says, in a PPR, bench one, Sutton, Wandale, Tracy. For me, it's Tracy. I would rather have the receiving upside from Wandale and Cortland Sutton. Is that crazy talk there, Drew, or would you do it with somebody else here?
Let's see. Who is Sutton, Tracy,
Wandale.
and Wandale?
Yeah.
I technically have Tracy a couple spots higher than Wandale in the flex rankings, but they're really close. I think it could go either way. I really don't think it can go wrong there.
All right. We got another one from Jason Ortiz. Kyle, let's go to you. Start two. Kyron, Amarian Hampton, Michael Carter, Cortland Sutton, Terry McLaurin with the QB from Walmart. You know, as a Commanders fan, I'm not going to hate on that because we're not too far away from that happening. So
No, we're not going to shop at Walmart for that one. So we're going to go ahead and leave Terry out of this one. We're definitely starting Kyron Williams. And so it's down between Hampton, Carter, or Sutton. That one's tough. I think I would go Sutton. I think I would go with Kyron and Sutton in this one.
I
see,
agree.
I think I would go Hampton. My only concern, but I think Hampton and Sutton are not too far off. My concern here is that with Sutton, like if this game gets out of hand, which I'm anticipating it happening, like how much are they going to be leaning on RJ Harvey in the second half and kind of taking the ball from a passing perspective out of Bo Nix's hands, just because I don't see this being a super competitive matchup tomorrow night. But again, they're pretty close neck and neck for me in that situation. He also has a question here. He says, if Kittle is out, who is the best start options? Barner, Hill. I'm assuming he's referring to Taysom Hill, which we can't escape Taysom Hill tonight, Kyle. I swear to God, it's the never-ending reference here. Ortong is the backup 49ers tight end. Kyle, who would you roll with here?
I don't really ever usually like to go to the tight end two on the team of the starter like Tongas, for Kittle. So it's been really between Barner and Hill for me, and I'm going to go with AJ Barner. He pretty much all really touchdown dependent, but I'm going to go AJ Barner over Taysom Hill. I know a lot of these guys tonight, we're on that Taysom Hill train, and I'm just not with it. I'm going to take AJ Barner.
All right. Epic Fail with a comment here. Hey, y'all. Happy holidays. Thanks for doing these shows during the holidays. The goats for real. Thank you very much for tuning in. That means a lot to us. Seriously. Jason says, best start this week. Tyler Warren, Tongas if Kittle's out, Barner, Hill, Schultz already starting Nico, and Darren Waller. Let me look at this up really quickly while we're deciding here.
I think it's between Schultz and Tyler Warren. I think it's a coin flip between those two guys.
How did Tyler Warren do recently here with Phil on Monday night? I can't.
Not great.
Not great. So that's 2 games in a row with Phillip Rivers. So yeah, I'll go Dalton Schultz. He did.
I mean, he did. Warren was just missed on a route that he beat the defender on, and Phillip just left it short. And if he would have led Warren probably would have walked in for a touchdown, and we would have felt a lot differently. But that's the risk you run every week. It's just the reality. I mean, it's Rivers Rivers still very much so has it from here up. Like he's great in that aspect, but he's still as expected, he's limited physically. So if you don't want to deal with that, you want to trust the guy that has the dependable quarterback, I think you can go Schultz.
Yeah, I've heard veteran quarterbacks talk about it all the time, Drew. Exactly what you said. Like when they're older like that, they know where they want to go with it.
Yeah,
but their body just can't do it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I get why it's tough though, because he mentioned he's already starting Nico, and it doesn't always feel great starting two pass catchers from the same offense. But I think he's the best option out of those guys.
All right, next question we got here is: do we trust Jacobs if he plays, or would you start Wilson or Tracy? If he's playing,
Yeah.
then I'm playing Josh Jacobs.
You can't bench Josh Jacobs if he's playing.
Yeah.
All right, let's go here to the next one. Which defense best this week, Lions or Bucks and Pats in Seattle? Let me pull up the good old rankings here.
Pats against the Jets for sure.
Oh, then
Yeah. That's like the number one defense, I guess. I would think.
I've got Denver against KC over them. That's it though. The Pats
Yeah.
against the Jets are number 2 for me. And what was between Lions and
Lions
Bucks?
And Bucks.
The Bucks play Miami.
I've got the Bucks at 8, and then the Lions are
against the Vikings. So,
Max Brosmer. Shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's the part.
Lions at 4. I've got the Lions ahead of the Bucks, so I would go Lions over Bucks on that one.
All right, we got another one: Burrow or Brissett, then Burrow or Bo Nix.
The answer is Burrow for all
Burrow.
of them. Arizona has been bleeding points to fantasy quarterbacks recently.
All right,
It's my QB3 this week.
Jason says, "Got Dicker the kicker and Fairbairn as my kickers last week. Both were elite options. Their kicker 3 and 4 in the year are both elite options this week, I should say. I mean, I love Fairbairn kicking indoors in California, so that works out nicely there.
Yeah,
so go with that.
I've got him at kicker 3 this week, and then Dicker I've got down at 12.
So there you go. And then again, we got Smitty in the chat. Welcome back. If Kittle's out, Juwan Johnson, Brenton Strange, or Colson Loveland, Kyle.
I think I'm going to go Brenton Strange over there. I love Loveland, though. It's between Strange and Loveland, but
if Burden and Odunze are both out, like if we operated under that scenario, would that sway you at all?
I still think I would put Strange just a tick ahead of Loveland just because of what we've seen in the past. But I don't hate it if you do go Loveland over Strange. I get it. I love it. But I'm going to chase the volume with Strange and the activity that he gets on the field with Trevor Lawrence. And the way Trevor Lawrence is throwing the football, my God, it's been great. So, yeah, I'll go Strange.
Yeah. Right. I mean, the Colts have been a good matchup for tight ends recently, too.
All right. He's Jason says, appreciate you guys.
Absolutely appreciate you, Jason.
Likewise. And then, of course, follow Rob Thomas. The real Rob Thomas is here. Good evening. Love this question from Jonathan. Is Die Hard a Christmas movie? The pop culture person says yes. The logical, not a fan. If I wasn't a fan of Die Hard, I'd be like, no, it just happens to take place around. Like if this happened at St. Patrick's Day, at a St. Patrick's Day party, this would still work. What about you, Drew? What are your thoughts here? Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
It's a Christmas movie for me, in my book.
And Kyle?
Haven't seen it. I don't know.
Stop it. Don't be an Aiden.
I'm really not a big movie person, honestly. I don't watch a lot of movies. Okay. I don't. Okay. I just, growing up as a kid, I always had ADD, and I could never sit through a movie, and I just blame it on the ADD. I was never
TV shows was more your wheelhouse.
Yeah. I could do Netflix and chill. But,
there you go.
But going to the movie, I never really got into it.
I don't think we understand the same definition of Netflix and chill, but I understand where you're going with this. But it's funny.
It is late.
Yeah, it is funny. That's I have this children's book. It's a Christmas children's book. It's called Die Hard. Have yourself a Die Hard Christmas, and it basically gives the plot of Die Hard the movie, but like in a children's book fashion. It is obviously not meant for kids, but it is hilarious. Anywho. Folks, seriously, it is 11:30 Eastern on the East Coast here. We are, depending on where you are, just around the corner from Christmas Day. Thank you all so much for joining us here on Christmas Eve. This has been the fact that we have so many of you in the chat asking questions or just having a good time with us, listening to us talk. Like literally, it means the world. Drew, as the senior person here on Fourth and Frames, you guys got your Week 18 Smasher Pass episodes next week, of course, but heading into for what are a lot of people's championship weeks, maybe you could speak to everybody just as far as like just your thoughts on how everybody should be approaching this week.
Yeah, I mean, trust your gut first and foremost. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean that I don't want to hear the questions and I don't want to be able to give my feedback or anything else. But I don't think there's anything wrong with crowdsourcing for opinions on what you should do with your lineup. But ultimately, if you have this strong gut feeling of one direction or the other, go with that, because it's going to feel a lot better if you win off that, and you're going to kick yourself in the ass a lot less if you lose based off a decision you made instead of, oh, I was going to start this guy, but then the guys on the show said to start that guy, and that guy ended up sucking, and the guy I was going to start ended up going off on my bench. That's a lot harder to swallow than just going with your gut, sticking with what you believe in, and going down with that. So that's just I used to be the number one person asking questions on Twitter or on live stream, stuff like that, before I started doing this. And that's just something in my personal experience that I've learned is a lot easier to deal with. So just, crowdsource with the people you trust, and then make the gut decision that you feel is best and ride it out, have fun. Just remember that the reason we do this, as stressful as it may be sometimes, is because at the end of the day, it's fun. And there is some luck involved. There's some randomness involved. There's gonna be some guy we didn't expect to go off tomorrow that's gonna go off for 35 points. There's gonna be guys that we were depending on that we knew were money in the bank this week. They're gonna completely shit the bed. It's just how it goes every year. And hopefully the people that are going off are on your team, and the people that are shitting the bed are on the other person's team. And hopefully you come home with some fantasy championships.
Well, there you go. Again, head over to fantasyandframes.com. Check out all of our articles that get you ready for week 17. Check out our rankings, which will be live tomorrow morning. Check out all the, go back, listen to all the shows that have come out this week. We had Shoot the Gap, our IDP show, come on last night, getting you ready for your IDP leagues. If you're just tuning in and you don't have time to watch tonight, we'll have the podcast version of this show going on tomorrow morning and for the rest of the week. Then, of course, we're finishing up our regular season coverage on the Fantasy and Frame Sunday pregame show this Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern to 12 p.m., answering all of your questions, championship week. So seriously, folks, thank you very much. It has been a blast with you tonight. Have a happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and good luck in week 17. So for Drew, for Kyle, I'm Jorge. Have a Merry Christmas, y'all.